Hey everybody, happy Saturday. So today I'm going to talk about how sometimes life can seem really challenging, but it always leads to the best designations. And I'm also going to talk about the most fantastic, most valuable, and most amazing journey that I've ever been on was the journey inward. And I'm going to explain to everybody why this is so important and how this can help you to learn to grow. Even if you're already growing, you just want to grow even more. So why I think the journey into introspection and deep reflection and finding your life purpose and meaning is so important. I started my journey in about 2009. Kind of was having some wake up calls. Some of those who have known me for a long time know that I was pretty wild. Growing up, there wasn't anything I wouldn't try once, and I was very impulsive. And if I wasn't supposed to do it, most likely I did it. No regrets, because everything makes me who I am today, and I'm very, very proud of who that is. Anyway, so around 2009, I decided to just kind of wanted to focus on my life and getting my stuff in order and, kind of finding more direction. It was around that time that I also found out that my mom was getting sick. So it was definitely a hard time in my life. So around, that was around 2008 or so. So around 2009, I decided to, never been to college or anything. I was 33, terrified, had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know how to sign up for classes, didn't know how to order my books, didn't know how to apply for FAFSA, none of that. Which, again, is why I'm so passionate about working with foster kids and things like that, and kids in the system, because, again, you don't know this stuff if nobody shows you, right? So I decided to go back to school. Luckily, I was at WVU at Parkersburg, and I had the most amazing teachers there, just really, really awesome. For anything from philosophy, my teachers that really got us internally thinking and about the whole wheel and how that factors into who we are, to my criminal justice teacher, who was very down to earth and just really encouraging, and learning about the Sir Robert Peel principles, and how that factors into community policing, which I love, by the way, to, my interpersonal communication teacher with Miss Clifford. She ended up being a really great mentor for me, and definitely very influential. And then again, another one of my advisors, Miss Diane Davis, and she was our Phi Theta Kappa advisor as well as my professor, and turned out to be definitely a lifelong coach and mentor. So I definitely had some great teachers there and got to engage and meet and be around some really amazing people, right? It was around this time I went from, being, from the city, living in Florida, and, really being around a lot of people, a lot of fun, a lot of social life, very extroverted, very outgoing, to then all of a sudden I was out in the mountains of West Virginia, which is like a total and complete culture shock, right? So it was winter, everything was dead, the plants were like just everything. I felt very displaced. I had none of my friends, none of my support system, all this and that, However, I definitely look at it now as definitely it set me off on my spiritual journey. In an earlier video, I talked about, how I found God and how he led me to the church when I was there. So you can refer back to that later if you want to check that out. But again, I had all these great teachers and these great support networks around me, and I would just play around online into the different personality tests, career aptitudes assessments, just things like that. And I was starting to discover things about me that I really didn't even know about, things that either piqued my curiosity or things that I was good at, or even things that I would lack or whatever through these skills and different assessments, career assessments, again, the big five, leadership, just all kinds of different, assessments to help you understand who you are. And then coupling that with education through my formal degrees, and then Also, again, taking lots of different courses on Coursera and or edX, and taking them courses just because I wanted to know the information, so self-educating and things like that. And really, for since 2009, so about 15 years, just really, really doing a lot of reflection. I'm not by any means saying I'm perfect because I'm still big-headed and stubborn in a lot of ways that I'm working through, and I still have my stuff. But the thing is, as you start recognizing things within yourself, both good and bad, either the good, you celebrate, and they're the things that keep you going, and then the bad, they're easier to face because you also recognize the good, right? And as long as you're living by your values and in your integrity, those types of things will always keep you on the right track, right? So, I definitely say, if anybody is interested in some of these assessments, I'll be glad to send you a list of them. I got probably 50 of them on file. I'd be glad to send them to you. But start digging deep within, because I tell you, when I moved back to West Virginia, I was very, very alone. I didn't have any friends. Everybody my age, at 33 is either married, kids, lived there forever. Everybody knows everybody. It was just but I did make friends again, through school and all of that. But, I think it's important, almost sort of like I didn't really have a lot of choice because, again, the city life and country life is very, very different. It's slower. Internet didn't even work out there. So even if you wanted to go on and do stuff online, you weren't going to, right? So it was very, very slow paced. I did a lot of cycling out in nature and hiking, and, I had my dog, my Jeep, and I would throw them in my Dobie and my Jeep, and we would go bike riding and things like that. But also that self-reflection, having good mentors, and really, really just taking any kind of assessment inward that would help me understand myself, while also, educating myself on, biological factors within myself, so getting, a DNA test and, understanding how food allergies and things like that. And then, understanding brain science and neurology, and how a lot of my prior trauma factored into a lot of the way I had interacted and behaved growing up and in my life, and still do in some ways, which I'm still working on stuff, as like everybody is. But so then we have our physiology, so it's like our body even producing the right hormones and all of that kind of stuff. Besides all of that, then we got to think about, external factors, conditionings, was religion or different, theories, opinions, were they very strict in your household that contributed to who you are as a person, how you view the world? Is there, are you a minority, which can be very, very difficult in any sense, and which factors into then, how you see yourself and different things. And conditioning and upbringing, how was your family structured, what nationality and culture are you from, and all of these factors that go into making us who we are. But when you start taking these assessments and you start reading, all the, say the Myers-Briggs or whatever, that help you understand how the different personality types engage and work well with one another, by the way, but taking all of these and understanding all of this within yourself, you start to really realize as a human being how complex we are. And understanding how complex we are just helps us to understand how others are that same way in the same regard, which makes it a lot easier to come from a place of understanding and everything. So I will say this though, people who are struggling, on this journey, don't feel alone. You always got people out there. Reach out to your churches, reach out to your groups. Meetup.com is a great way to meet new people. They have groups for everything from, hiking, public speaking, dog walking, single parents, single travelers groups. I mean, they have groups for everything, and you can search by radius of your zip code. Find these support networks, and engage and enrich your lives, and try to find ways to work together, but also get to know yourself. And those of you who are struggling or maybe feel alone at times, because I know that I have on my journey, hell, to this day, I still have people that like to throw up stuff or my past in my face. Like, I haven't lived there for over 15 years. Like, literally, I might not be having a DR in front of my name yet, but the amount of knowledge that I have obtained in the last 15 years, both educationally and self-educated, I would pretty much call myself a doctor. So when people throw back stuff that you've ever done in your past, just laugh it off and try to do better. But the best part about it is when you work through this stuff within yourself, people can't really use that stuff against you. You know your shadows. So when they throw it out there, you're like, yeah, and okay. While they're focusing on you and everything that you're doing wrong and bringing up things that you're doing in the past or whatever, they're focusing on you. Therefore, they are not growing. If you're focusing on you, you're growing. So I know, I did a video earlier about what I think is key to helping prevent recidivism and substance use disorder or, drug relapse. And I definitely feel like, that internal reflection and being alone is key to that. It sucks being alone and being by yourself. But then again, you got to think, if I don't want to be alone with me, would anybody else want to be alone with me, right? And so that's kind of how I looked at it. And I looked at it as I dated myself for a good 10 years, Even since then, I've had some good relationships and I've had some bad relationships, but they all were amazing because, again, they factored into me understanding myself better, how I fit into the place in the world better, what I need, what they need, And sometimes it's just not a matter of anything other than sometimes people are incompatible. But I guess what I'm saying with all of this is, don't give up. The best thing you can ever do is date yourself, right? Make sure that you like yourself. If you like dating you and you can spend time alone with yourself in deep contemplation, through long periods of time and, working on the things that you're able to control, right? Because you got to always factor into, can I control it? If it is out of your control, stop worrying about it. It's not doing you any good. And I know it's easier said than done, but with practice, you can get a hold of that. Go back and look to my video, reticular activating system, and it'll help you with ways for that. But definitely, got to focus on inward and, and again, and continue to grow. I don't look at it as selfish or egotistical. Really, you're doing everybody a joy and a benefit because you're learning and growing about yourself. And again, you understand that with others just as much so. So that being said, again, focusing inward can help you to build resilience. Again, you recognize, when you reflect, you recognize your challenges, you recognize your defeats, you recognize when you're like, man, I could have did better, so you'd be like, you don't even want to. But hey, that's part of life, right? The only time you can ever say that it's negative is when you give up, right? So, try to work on yourself, date yourself. Try not to let other people bring you down or let them use the past against you. Sometimes people just focus on the negative. No matter what you do or say, they're going to find negative things in people, negative things in situations, negative things in experiences, just because that's what they choose to focus on. Again, reticular activating system video, and it's a sad thing. Once you do all this, you realize how much your, Eckhart Tolle talks about being the gatekeeper and the witness of your thoughts, So I know I do a lot of thinking and I sometimes ruminate. Again, that's all my stress response system. That's just kind of how my mind works. So I am trying to connect again more with my brain body so that I can get out of that, that loop. But once you realize that you're having that loop of negativity or anything like that, it's easier to say, hey, I'm witnessing this. Is this good for me or is this bad for me? It really is a matter of what you focus on, you really are going to get. And I know I feel like I do awesome in life in general, in every sense in that regard, except for with my my relationships. So my specifically romantic relationships, which I'm also trying to get better at. Bottom line is, when you're doing good and you're trying and you're learning and you're growing, that's really all that matters. So anyways, if anybody would be interested in, again, a list of those self-assessments or anything, got a whole bunch of them put together, I'd be glad to send you those lists. So with that being said, just remember, what you tend to look for, you're going to find it. We know that with research. What are you going to find if you don't look for it? If you don't think something's possible, if you don't think you can, most likely you can. There's a lot of different names of it. Self-sabotage, self-fulfilling prophecy, people that are, looking for something negative. Most likely you're going to find that. Just like researchers, when they're looking to back up that data, do you think they're going to find that data if they don't look for it? Another one of those, what come first, the chicken or the egg? But I do know one thing. I'm going to try to stay on my P's and Q's and get ahead of that game and try to cut them ants and negative automatic thoughts right off at the root. So anyway, feel free to reach out if you ever need any support. I'm not certified clinically. I will be shortly, but I've been doing mental health, spiritual, and counseling for about 15 years now. So always glad to listen to somebody who needs a listening ear. So God bless everybody and have a great weekend.